I'm Ryan Southworth with Rocket Dad, where we encourage dads to spend time with their kids building rockets. In this video, we are going to build the Crossfire. Crossfire is from an Estes kit. It is labeled as an intermediate. I would still kind of consider that a basic beginner kit. Low power rocket. We'll be building this one. Elsie will be building this here today. Are you ready, Else? Let's get started. All right, first, let's open it up. So we're going to take our knife. Why don't you take the knife and give a nice cut right there, okay? Perfect. Let me grab that. Thank you. Put the cap back on. All right, let's pull all the things out there we got. All right, we got some fins. We got a body tube. It's nice that those has some slots there to put your fins to hook in. You have your nose cone, and also part of it will be your the bottom of the rocket where kind of the engine will go in. There'll be a little piece of that right there. We have our motor mount, and we have a, what's that called? Parachute. And then on the inside here, let's open that up real quick. We've got some other stuff. We have the parachute, we have the shock cord. What are these called?
I don't know.
Centering ring. And this is a engine block. And then the other centering ring, and then a little baby launch lug. Cute little launch lug. Then we have another piece that we'll use to help center something up. And then we have our engine retainer. In our motor mount, I believe this guy goes in here. Is where you can push the engine block. We're going to take the engine block and we're going to glue that into place and slide that up forward to a certain distance. And then the engine, when you have your engine, you put your engine in, it's going to push up against that. So when you're using the Estes engines, that requires an engine block. The other type of engines do not. How do I get it out?
I can with my fingers.
Yeah, why don't you push that guy already out. Push that guy out. Perfect. Thank you. All right, let's get started. Let's see what we have on the instructions. All right, it does list all of our parts and pieces. Oh, that didn't fold very good. Good enough. Maybe. There we go. All right. So first it says for us to sand the fins. After we sand the fins, we'll then cut them out with a hobby knife. So let's get started with that. I'll grab sandpaper. So first here we'll sand the fins, and we'll use some sandpaper on a sanding block, and the sandpaper is 220. So grit is 220. When you sand with this, you want to sand in line with the grain. Do this way, you can see the grain run this way, so you would not want to sand this way. You want to sand with the grain. It's nice having it sanded first in the sheet, because then you can get it all pretty uniformly sanded and then cut them all out. All right, I'll show you how to start this. You kind of just sand in like this. Kind of holding this here. We'll kind of sand this side. And then we'll spin that around and sand this side. Make sense? And the idea is to keep equal pressure, so you're pushing down the center on that. Give that a go. That's all right. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And we'll turn around and sand that side a little more. Go ahead. call that good. And we'll do the other side. Good sand. Your arm getting tired yet?
No.
Good job. All right, let's get this. Make sure we get that side. Perfect. That looks great. Nice. Feel nice and smooth?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, super smooth. Blow this off. All right. Let's go ahead and set this aside. A little dusty. We're going to use the hobby knife to cut these out. So to cut these out, you can see these are laser cut fins. So you can see in here, you can tell that right there is a little part that's attached. So it shouldn't be attached through here, but it will be attached right there, and we're cutting through that little piece right there. So you always want to keep the knife, make sure it's straight up and down, and you're pulling straight back. So as I cut this, sometimes you have to go over it a couple times. And then there's another one here. How about I do the first one and you can do the next one. And then I can tell it's connected right there. You see that? Run this one as well. Boom, that popped. Boom, there we go. So there is our first one, and that's the fin that's going to attach to the body tube, and then you will have these pieces right here is going to connect in, because in the picture you see this piece connected in here will give you that look. It's pretty neat on the Crossfire. I'll cut out this guy, and then it's going to be your turn. You ready? So be really careful with this knife. It's a sharp knife. So you always want to be pulling to you, making sure you don't have your thumb kind of behind as you're cutting. Just want to be a little safe. So looks like the bottom is cut good. Looks like it's probably attached right here. Maybe attached. That's good. We're still attached. Get over here. There it was, I bet. Poke it out. Poked it out. Perfect.
Oh, going like that.
Exactly. So you got to make sure it doesn't go just right there. It has to go all the way in. You can get it. It goes in like that. And that's really locked all the way in. Make sense? Perfect. All right. There's one. All right, Else, you ready for this? Okay, we just got to make sure we're cutting straight.
So like right here.
Yeah, and with your knife, you want to make sure, not cut yet, make sure your knife is straight up and down. See how you're off to the side? You want to have your knife straight up and down as you're pulling down. Looks pretty good. That one look good. Do the next one. And that's all right. It can be off a little bit. We will be painting it. Wait. That one's clear now. It's okay. See how it kind of went into that edge a little bit right there? And that's okay, because when we paint it over, you won't see that, okay? So you just gotta make sure you're trying to stay nice and straight. think that was it. Perfect. All right, so we're done with this sheet. We got all of our pieces here. Good job putting that cap on. Great job. Okay, so next, we want to sand the edges a little bit, because as you can see that there's the spots that they were still attached, and it gives a little bit, you can feel it just a little bit. It's not going to matter on the pieces that get glued on the inside, but we like to kind of smooth everything down. So what you do is you want to grab all 3 fins, kind of line them up so they're like perfectly aligned. So on the bottom, the sides, make sure these are perfectly aligned. Once they're aligned, I'm going to hold that pretty firm. Then we're going to grab our sandpaper again, keeping this firm, everything is aligned, and we're just going to drag this. Sometimes it's kind of weird if you go back and forth, it kind of shakes. So we're just going to give a couple sands there. See how it feels a lot smoother? Oh yeah. Then we're going to do this side. And the key is to make sure it's really staying up and down, perpendicular. There, looks pretty good, huh? Sweet. All right, there's the sanding for that. Now let's look at our instructions. We sanded those. Okay, we're gonna actually set these off the side for a second. And now we are gonna get into these guys. Okay, next it's asking us to assemble the engine mount. This is my engine mount here. This piece is just kind of simulating, pretending to be an engine, and it's basically going to push our engine block, which is this green ring. It's going to push that ring up inside the tube to a certain distance, and then we'll pull this out and discard that. And then our regular engine will go in and sit, and will be sitting at the proper distance. So we need to get some measurements first. You ready to measure? Mm-hmm. All right. Got our ruler and a pencil, and so we are measuring this on the this guy. We need to first measure an 1/8. I'll measure the 1/8 first because it's kind of a smaller one, and then you can do the next one. Sound good? Mm-hmm. All right. So an 1/8 is going to be right there. Okay, and then next we need to measure at 5/8. So 5/8 is going to be, so here's an inch. So that's a 1/2 inch, which is 4/8, plus 1 more 1/8 is 5/8. So go ahead and make a mark right there on that guy.
Can't really do it.
That's all right. That's a good mark. You made it. Next, we have to do 2 1/4. So 2 1/4. If I can hold this right. 2 1/4 will be, so there's 2, there's 2 1/2, so 2 1/4 is right there. That guy.
Right here?
Yep. Perfect. And one last and final one is 2 5/8. So 2 5/8. So there's 2 1/2. So 2 5/8 is that guy right there.
Right here?
Yep. Perfect. All right, we got our marks on that guy. And then it also, I would assume we'd have a mark on this one, which it does say to do. We need to mark that at 1/2 inch. Do you know which one's a 1/2?
Yeah.
It is. Get that guy right there. Perfect. All right. That is all the measuring I think we need for now. We're also going to be needing that guy. So step 2 is we're supposed to cut a little slit. I believe this is for the engine hook. We're going to have to cut a little slit. and it's showing on the closer one. So it's going on this one right here. So it's that guy. So we had our 8th, which was this one, which was that mark there. Then here was our 2nd mark, and I think we're cutting on our 3rd mark. And our 3rd mark there, I think, is where the engine hook is going to, this is going to hook down into that. All right, so let's take the blade. I'll cut that just to be on the safe side for that one. It only has to be that wide, so about as wide as that. So you can really just stab it. Ah! Just joking. And if it cuts kind of crazy, it's fine. You can just cut it there and then just throw a little glue on that. It'll be just fine. So let's see if we can get that to hook in there. That's just got to poke in. Boop. Pops right in. So this is going to hold our engine. When we put an engine in, it's going to hold that engine in right there. All right, next. It's 2, 3. Now we're going to put glue around at the 2 1/4 mark. So at this 2 1/4 mark, we're going to put glue around in there. And then we're going to take this ring, after we put glue in, then we're going to push this in until it gets to that spot right there. Make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. And I just want to eyeball this to see what that's going to look like. So in here, we had to do it at 1/2 mark, and that's going to go in there. We push this in. It really pushes that past that. So when you glue this in, you need to remove your engine hook, because that engine hook is actually going to be on this side of the ring. And so if you're trying to push your ring in, it's going to be too far. It will run into this. You won't be able to go. So you have to take that out to glue it. Just use a paint rod. All right. So I'll use a dowel to glue that on the inside, and we just want to figure out kind of how far in we're going. So it says to glue it in at 2 1/4 is where that's going in. So I like to make a mark on the dowel at 2 1/4. So go ahead and mark at 2 1/4, Svi. Let's make a little mark at 2 1/4. Remember which that one is? There's the 1/2. So the 1/4 is gonna be right there. So just make a little baby mark right there. Perfect. All right, and I'm gonna take that mark and I'm just gonna wrap it around. Doesn't have to be quite exact. We'll just wrap that around there. So that tells me as I'm putting this glue in, I put the dowel in that far, and that's how far I have to put it in to get the glue to wrap around. So let's glue her up. All right, so we always double check this first. So we're gonna take this, I'm gonna put glue on the end of it, and then you're gonna stick it in. When you stick it in, you wanna stick it in and not hit the sides. So you don't wanna go right there. You wanna kind of not hit the sides going in, and once you get to this mark right here, then is when you're gonna start putting the glue around like that, okay? And as you wrap it around like that, you'll twist this just a little bit too, okay? Okay, and so we're gonna move kind of quick on this. So as soon as we get the glue onto here, we're gonna start going fast. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. All right, let's go. So you hold this, I'll get some glue on it. We'll get some paper towels ready. There we go, and here we go. Let's do it. Let's just do it right here. Ooh, twist it. Perfect. All right, let's put that in. Nice and easy. It's fine. Good, right there. I'll start wrapping it around. Twist it. You can put just a tiny bit more in. Take that out. We'll put just a tiny bit more in. Okay. Sometimes we spin this around so that it kind of gets the glue. There, go ahead and give it a grip. Nice. Good. Spin it around, twist it. I like it. That's good. You can pull that out. Excellent. We'll set this down over here. Now you put this ring in. We want to move kind of quick. That. Now push this in. Push this in until that lines up right there. Right there, perfect. All right, so that got it in there. I'll just push it in and give it a little spin around as well. All right, that got it. Okay, all right. So that pushed it in, and we actually did it from the wrong side. So we need to remeasure these and put these in the right spots and recut that little spot right there.
Put a little glue on it.
Put a little glue on it. All right. So let's go ahead and measure that real quick. So we got that pushed in that far. So let's go ahead and remeasure these. Okay. I'll mark the 8th. Okay, and let's do the 5/8, 4 5/8, and then we had 2 1/4, and then we had 2 5/8, 2 4 5/8. Perfect. All right. So those are the ones we're going to be using here, and then it said we were supposed to cut a hole for that one, right?
Mom just came down and said we need to eat lunch.
Dang, it's time for lunch. All right. Well, let's go ahead and cut this one here real quick. Make sure we got that. Not push so hard this time. There, popped it through.
Little baby guy.
Little baby guy. All right, can you push this down in now?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna push that down into there. Line her up and just push her in. Pop. Perfect. So I think that's good. I think that's exactly where it should line up. And that looks good. So we push that in to the ring to get to the right spot. So that's looking really good. Next, at the 5/8 mark, we want to get this other, our first centering ring. And so the centering ring is going to go on. Sometimes some of them have a slit. I don't think these do, but just check. Sometimes there's a slit for that retainer, for that engine hook. So we'll push this down, all the way down. Over, that's a little tight, but that's okay. We're gonna push that down to right there. So it says 5/8. This was our 5/8 mark. Let's just make sure that it was. So this is going to slide down right to there, and it's going to have to glue in right there. And then our other one is going to go at the top. So why don't we go ahead and glue that now. So I'm going to slide it back just a little bit, and we know we're going to want glue kind of in here. So in this space here is where we want the glue. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we could even just push this down about right there and draw a line for you. So it needs to be anywhere in there. Okay, I'll put a little glue on there. Doesn't require a lot, so we can just start right there. Just put a little bit. Perfect. It's good. And close that cap up, and we'll slide this down into that spot. You don't have to actually close it. We're going to use it here in a second. So I got it in there. So now there's a little extra on right there. I like to kind of smooth that out a little bit. Kind of makes a little fillet. So you want to put your finger on that and drag it around, make it nice and smooth. Ben playing the piano. That's nice. Good? All right. Right. All right, now let's go ahead and get this guy goes in on this one. So this is going to go in here. Oops. So let's go ahead and put the glue around right in there. Yep. Good. Oh, a little more. You're right. Perfect. Excellent job. So we're going to take that, and we're going to give it a little twist as I put it in. Right about there. That back one doesn't really need to be all that super exact. Want to run your finger around that one again. Perfect. Looks good. And you can wipe your finger off. Had a little bit on the outside here, so take that off as well. So it will slide in. So we're going to let this dry and then come back and glue this into our body tube. So we'll be back.